As you all know, Outcome Memories is planned to have 20 EXEs inside of the game. But in order to make it to 20 killers, there has been a lot of characters that have been cut and scrapped. In this video, we'll be going through every single cut and scrapped character and telling exactly what happened to them and what their story was. So if you want more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's begin with the character that was actually meant to be in Outcome Memories. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I am talking about Sonic.OMT, or one more time. Sonic.OMT was the only scrapped character to actually have a 3D model and his own chase themes. Now initially he was meant to be in the game, but the reason he was scrapped is controversy with the original creator. We won't go into depth of exactly what happened, but for this reason, OMT was caused to be scrapped. But based off of his character in general, we can assume that you have a rushed down style. I'm saying this because he is a lot more aggressive than a normal 2011X, but technically more mature in the lore. And Sonic.OMT comes from his original game, where it's kind of like the original Sonic.exe story, but he's a lot more gruesome with it. Believe me, if I showed any of the scenes in that game, this channel would get demonetized immediately. But with that being said, we're going on to the next EXE that was scrapped. The next character we're going to be talking about is Exeller. Exeller comes from a game known as Sonic.exe the Spirits of Hell and Sally.exe the Whisper of Souls. Exeller is like the same like most other EXEs, being a demon that possesses Sonic's body. He is also only contained to the Sonic lore and not actually have real world implications. Although he was originally planned to be inside of the game, he just looks so similar to 2011X, OMT when he was originally supposed to be added, and Mystic Crimson that honestly, they just look too similar. And the devs themselves stated that they were pretty much pushing the limits on vanilla characters with Sonic.exe, so they decided just to scrap them altogether. Although, just saying, it would be cool if he gets a skin for Mystic Crimson, since that would make sense. But other than that, there's not much more to say about Exeller, since he doesn't have anything other than just a picture of him. We're also going to go on to the next character that does involve with Exeller. The person who he's involved with is Exetior. Exetior comes from a game known as Sonic.exe Nightmare Universe. He is an archdemon that basically took over Sonic's body, like Exeller. Now, for just the same exact reasons, he was scrapped for the fact that he looks too close to Mystic Crimson and 2011X. Also, the fact that most of his abilities are very similar to Mystic Crimson, the fact is basically playing the same character at that point. And another reason that he was also scrapped is the creator is also a very controversial person, doing things that we cannot get into in this video. But like Exeller, he was eventually scrapped for basically being the same character, though he may have a skin for Mystic Crimson. But now, we're on to one of the more popular EXEs that have shown up recently. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I am talking about Shin Sonic. Shin Sonic, or Shinnick, comes from a series where basically a cult decided to make Sonic get possessed by the demon known as Moloch. Basically, Moloch is a demon forever hungering power, and technically this is Sonic, but just possessed by the demon. In his different forms, he can be seen as very decayed and undernourished, or in his bigger forms, being bigger than literally mountains. Now, the reason why he wasn't added is for the fact of how big he is. For the fact that he's able to be as fast as Sonic and topple skyscrapers like it's nothing, he would have been way too big to fit on the maps. Also, if they decided to scale down his design, it wouldn't really help since he's such a wide and odd looking character, he would seem really weird when he's super tiny. Because of this reasons, he was decided to be scrapped from the game because it'd be very inconvenient trying to create a character for him. Though I'm just saying, if we ever see him in the background like an Easter egg, I would be totally for it, because believe me, this guy's laugh and the character himself is pretty scary. I mean, just saying, a mountain as fast as Sonic is a very big problem. Now, we're going on to the next character that actually comes from an FNF mod you most likely know. If you know the FNF mod, known as Versus EXE, then you definitely know Xenophanes, which is the main character of it. Xenophanes was chosen to be scrapped for the fact that he literally has nothing on him. He has zero lore, and all we really know of him is just how he looks. He has literally zero concepts. All it is basically just a remake of Sonic.exe, but for practically the same creature. I mean, yes, he does look cool with the crystals coming out of his back, but the fact that he really has nothing and even his moveset would be very limited, so they couldn't really create a character with him. Also, another reason why he wasn't coming to Outcome Memories is because they didn't really want to associate themselves with FNF mods. They wanted to make sure that the characters were well fleshed out and actually known by most of the community. Also, the creator who created Xenophanes also stated themselves that they don't want the character to be used in any projects. This means as of now, the character is deconfirmed, but there's a very slim chance that he may or may not come. But speaking of the character who was originally scrapped and did come to Outcome Memories, we're going on to him next. We actually have two characters for this part, but we're going to start off with Fleetway Sonic first. Originally, Fleetway was scrapped, and the reason why is because he's technically Sega's intellectual property. If you ever seen the Fleetway songs, then you know that he's literally a Sonic character, but basically they decided to make his super form different. How Fleetway Sonic's super form works is basically the fact that it basically corrupts Sonic because of the chaos energy and makes him very strong and very crazy. But as you all know, the devs were also scared of the game being taken down because of that reason, kind of like how TD was taken down a few months back. But since there were movements of OMT, they decided to actually add him, and they were working on him in the background, just in case they ever chose to release him. But now he is planned to come in the 0.2 update, as long as Tails Doll and Colossus. He also has his full moveset planned out and already animated and everything, including how his gimmicks work. His gimmick is basically he can be killed. But in return, he is really fast and does a lot of damage if you're not careful as a survivor. But now, we're going on to the second character that was also added because of another character being scrapped. If you weren't inside of a Discord, then you wouldn't really know this really well, and if you haven't seen the wiki, but Tails Doll was initially scrapped, but is coming now. For the same reason as Fleetway Sonic, Tails Doll was technically just another Sonic character, without any EXE lore really. He did indeed have a creepypasta, which is pretty interesting, but the fact that it's literally just Tails Doll but kind of corrupted made it a little bit thin on ice. But since we decided to remove OMT, we decided to swap him around with Tails Doll. Unfortunately, the picture I showed for you isn't his actual model yet since we haven't gotten one, but he will be coming out next update along as Colossus and Fleetway, as I stated. Depending on the Tails Ball version, the lore for this one will most likely be that instead of possessing Sonic's body, Sonic was already found dead or unaware at the time, so basically he decided to take over Tails Doll, the demon. This means that he has all the demonic abilities, but he's inside of the body of a doll. We also do have one move for him right now that we have seen that was planned, and the fact that he's able to entangle 3 opponents, which maybe spreads damage across them equally, we don't know yet. But for originally being a scrapped character, I like that they actually added him, since basically next update is going to be the disaster update. But now we're going back onto the trend of characters that were scrapped. Slight detour right there. The next one we're going to be talking about is Sonic the Hedgehog.exe or El Pendrive Azul. Basically, this character was a false claim of being the original Sonic.exe story, but it was proven fake. Basically, this person received a blue USB first from an epileptic friend who shortly dies after using it, but basically it had a hacked version of Sonic 1, and this is where Pendrive lived. But the reason why he was removed is actually unknown at this time. They haven't given a direct reason why he was scrapped, but as of now, he is currently scrapped. I can assume a reason that it was literally just a plagiarism story of original Sonic.exe or Mystic Crimson. Also for a fact that his design looks pretty similar to Xenophanes, so there's a chance that people might get them confused. But it's also stated that other than his ability for epilepsy, there wouldn't really much other of a story than him. And believe me, the last thing we need is an epileptic killer just spraying your screen with random colors. That would not be a fun time. So for the lack of a story, the weird gimmick, and honestly just character design in general, he was decided to be deconfirmed/scrapped. But there is a chance that he will come as a skin, as stated by the developers. But up next, we have Sunky.mpeg. Sunky.mpeg, or just Sunky, is basically a joke version of Sonic.exe. As you can see in the photo I give, he's literally eating cereal milk. He is literally a clown of a character. And really, all he likes to do is just dance around with his friends. Like I said, it was a complete parody of the original Sonic.exe, and other than that, he's just a joke character. Also, another reason why he wasn't going to be added is the fact that he doesn't really actually kill anybody. He's a lot more friendlier to the Sonic cast, and most likely if he was ever to be added, he'd either be an Easter egg or somehow a survivor, which wouldn't make much sense. He's also confirmed to be a pacifist, and the fact that he literally was created just for giggles, he is deconfirmed as of this time. But you know, you might see him as an Easter egg here or there, because he is very popular inside of the EXE community. Now, next up is Sonic.LANK, which apparently we know very little about. As you can see by the design, he has 4 arms and 2 legs, and if you saw my poll from yesterday, then yeah, he was attempted to be inside of the thumbnail. Now, the reason why he was scrapped was for the fact that he really had no information on what he was decided to be. The only reason why he shows up here is the fact that the OM creator did mention him inside of a pitch for OM's earlier Discord days. But the issue with the creator pitching this character is the fact that the creator themselves is controversial. So for that fact, and them having really little interest inside of the character, they decided just to deconfirm it for now. But there's a chance we might see him depending on what happens. Then again, the cast for the EXEs inside of this game are locked, so a lot of these are very small chance hypotheticals. So do not get your hopes up about this. Up next, we're going on to another FNF original character, kind of like Xenophanes. If you're wondering who I'm talking about, I am talking about Diablo. Diablo is the main antagonist of Sonic.exe rerun UST, and he's basically re-engineering a Scrimbo. Now, the reason for why he wasn't added is for a fact that he's literally just an FNF character. Diablo is able to use fire powers, kind of a hint on his name, but the fact that Furnace is already inside of the game being a literal oven, there wouldn't really make sense for the two of the characters with the same idea. And the fact that he's based off of Scrimbo, who's actually based off of Mystic Crimson, like I said before, they look very similar, so the fact that people can get confused, or even though he has a skull, they literally are the same. And since the fact that it's a retake, like I said, very little information. For a fact that we have like 2 images of him. But he is disconfirmed for now, for a fact that the devs might make him a skin. And the original creator of his character has greenlit it for it to be a cosmetic for an unknown executioner at the time. This means for all of you fans out there of Diablo, there is a high likelihood that he will be a playable skin, but not a playable character. Now next up is actually one of the most popular EXEs out there, and he isn't really even an EXE. We are talking about Majin Sonic. Majin Sonic is an infamous Easter egg character hidden in one of Sonic CD's sound test screens. His design is basically Sonic if he had a comedy mask on, and he was a little more slender and goofy looking. He also debuted in the same mod as Xenophanes, but other than that, there isn't really much about him. One thing that is to know is the fact that he isn't technically hostile, so it wouldn't really make sense for him to be an EXE. But also, he is a Sega original character, so he'd be treading on thin ice if they wanted to use him. But he will be having a map for himself. I'll put up a picture, but an upcoming map is known as Majin Forest, which will basically serve it as an NPC. Also, he wouldn't make sense for being EXE since Sonic himself literally has a Majin cosmetic. You know, Majin versus Majin might get a little crazy, but this character is not an EXE. Next up is Needlemouse. Needlemouse basically originates as a main antagonist from an analog web series. One day she died during a bar fight, and her death was covered up by her close friends. Basically, the vengeful spirit ended up possessing Sonic the Hedgehog, and in came Needlemouse. She basically wanted to get revenge on all the people who left her behind, and well, she does. Now, the reason why this character was scrapped was A, the creator of the character, or the original creator, did not want him to be inside of any other lit media. This means the creator didn't want them to be inside of Outcome Memories or other fan projects like that. Also, another reason why she was not added is the fact that the devs do not think she fits the game. I mean, it kind of makes sense for her story since she's only really getting revenge on the people who left her behind, but then again, she's just a really weird character. But for those 2 reasons, she is currently deformed and most likely scrapped, since the fact that the original creator does not want them to be in the game means they will definitely not add her. Now, up next is a character that was originally meant to be inside of Outcome Memories. This guy is known as Mono.BW. Basically, Mono.BW is a young person who died because of unknown causes. And then his soul was forced into a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And once he entered a Sonic vessel, instead of being amazed in the colors he saw, he decided to suck out all the colors because he was disgusted with colors. So basically, he likes just to steal the colors and the souls of people. But the reason why he was removed